Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of I Could Be Wrong. I'm Brad. He's Justin. Welcome to our Week 2 edition, Week 2 NFL edition. We had some exciting games last week. We'll touch on a couple of those and then jump into this week and the games that we're looking forward to. So again, thanks for joining us, and let's go ahead and jump into it. So here is the the full slate for this week. We got some key games. We got Kansas City at Baltimore, Dallas at the Chargers, Tennessee at Seattle, Buffalo at Miami, and then, of course, our beloved 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, here's the full slate. Obviously, there's some other important games on there, if there are any important games in week 2 of the season. But we'll go ahead and jump into a few of them and get started. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and jump over to our first game. We'll start with Seattle and Tennessee. I'll go ahead and start this one off here. This one here, for me, I'm excited to see it just because obviously Tennessee looked like garbage last week. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can bounce back. The Seahawks looked really good against Indy. I know that Indy was dealing with some issues with some guys coming back from injury, things like that. But they looked really good. Russ was cooking. He was his usual week 1 self. Tennessee really, couldn't do much. They couldn't block. They couldn't tackle. Really didn't have a chance. And it was really surprising for me to see Tennessee come out like that, considering Vrabel's like a Belichick disciple. He came from New England. He played for Belichick. And he had basically an entire training camp to prepare for the Cardinals. And it looked like they didn't belong on the same field with them. So I would say in this game, for me, I expect a similar story as far as the outcome. I think the Titans will keep it a little closer. They'll make it a little more competitive. But in the end, they're still going to end up losing to Russ and the Seahawks. He and Tyler Lockett looked in sync. They looked in mid-season form already. They connected on that deep pass. And I think that in front of that home crowd, they're going to be amped up and rearing to go. And I think they win this one. I'm going to go Seahawks 30, Tennessee 21. So that's my prediction based off that crowd and just the way Tennessee looked. I don't see them bouncing back that quick.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Honestly, Tennessee looked really awful. Their defense couldn't stop anything. Arizona had, a handful of big plays. And speaking of big plays, Seattle, they actually made somewhat of a living last week on big plays. Lockett had 2 really key big touchdowns. So I think that Seattle, Russell Wilson, Lockett, Metcalf, they're all due for big games. Tennessee's defense didn't look good. Tannehill didn't look good. There was constant pressure. We had discussed in one of the earlier episodes about Chandler Jones and his status in Arizona. Well, we found out in a big way what his status is in Arizona. And if he continues to play like that, I really feel bad for any team that comes to play an NFC West team, because the NFC West is stacked. So Seattle going to win in a big way. I wouldn't doubt if it's 35, 20, 21, double digit win for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I see him winning fairly easy. Like I mentioned, it's funny that you mentioned Chandler Jones because he had a hell of a game. Obviously, he had 5 sacks.
5 sacks.
He definitely improved his trade value for sure if they do consider trading him. I could see if they look really good, so they might be in the middle of it, come the deadline. But if for some reason they kind of do what they did last year and fall off, I could definitely see a contender trying to make a lucrative offer for someone like that. Because he's the type of guy that, you think about putting him on a defense, like on Kansas City's defense.
Yeah.
That pretty much makes them almost unbeatable with the Honey Badger in the back of the defense. You got a guy like Chandler Jones on the line, and then that offense. You add them to a team like that, I mean, you pretty much can pencil them in to win the Super Bowl or at least be in it, at the very end. So
Again.
yeah, exactly. So he had a hell of a game, but I agree. I think that Seattle kind of does the same number on Tennessee this week, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Tennessee, they made some moves in the offseason, but it doesn't look like they improved. I don't know, that maybe it could be the week one jitters or fatigue, or whatever it is, cramps. I know a lot of guys in the first two games, it's still hot. They're still getting used to playing that full game. So I don't know if that's it, but I think Seattle does the same thing to them this week, pretty close to what the Cardinals did.
Yeah, on the heels of big plays, I think Seattle's just going to take it right to them.
Yeah, definitely. They've been living and dying by the big play for the last couple of years anyways. And I mean, if you think about, like I said, Russell Wilson looked like his typical week one self. I think I was reading or I heard somewhere he's the first quarterback to start 2 seasons straight with 400 passing yards for his team season opener. I think that's what I read. So I could be wrong, but it was some stat like that where he's the only quarterback for the last 2 consecutive years that opened the season with the stat line that he had. So he always looks good early, tends to fade towards the end of the season because they kind of ask him to do a lot, and he gets fatigued, obviously. So it'll be interesting. But since it's early in the season, I think the Titans are gonna remember the Seahawks and not the other way around. So
right.
All right, cool. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next game, which is going to be the Bills and the Dolphins. So, interestingly enough, if there is, I'll let you go ahead and open it up, but I just want to say, if there is such a thing as a week 2, give me 1 second here. If there is such a thing as a week 2 must win, it is going to be the Buffalo Bills. That's about as close as you can get to a week 2 must win, considering who they're playing and who Miami beat last week. So I'll open it up to you, let you start on this one here, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I do believe it is an important week for the Buffalo Bills. They do need to bounce back. I think they will bounce back in a big way. I think they're going to win by double digits against Miami. They had a really tough matchup, playing against arguably the best defense in the league. They did hold the lead early on. Pittsburgh did make a second half comeback in that game. So with that said, I think Josh Allen has a really big game. I think Diggs has a really big game, and Sanders as well. Sanders actually played over 90% of the snaps in that game, which took away a lot of snaps from Gabriel Davis, who filled that spot last year along with Cole Beasley. So having Emmanuel Sanders is going to help out. Miami's defense isn't quite as good as Pittsburgh's defense, so I think Buffalo bounces back in a big way. Miami didn't look terrible last week, but they didn't look real sharp. And I just don't think they have the weapons to keep up with a team like Buffalo on offense or defense. Tua's still a young quarterback. The receiving core over there is constantly in flux. They're trying to figure out who their receivers are. Waddle did have a great game last week, I believe. So we'll see where he stands this week. But I think Buffalo easily takes this one. It is an important one for him because if you go that 0-2 hole, I do expect New England to win, and that basically puts Miami and New England ahead of you, and that would put them in last place with the Jets. So it is a big week for them. I do believe it is close as you can get to a must-win week 2 game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it's interesting because they are playing division games, so early in the season. Dolphins can somehow win this one. They're essentially in the driver's seat in this division because they would have a win over New England and Buffalo. You know, and that really puts you in a good position. I know it's early and they play an extra game this year, so might not be as comfortable of a position as it would have been in previous years, but I still think it puts them in the driver's seat. Now, whether they can hold on to it or not, that would remain to be seen. I'm with you. I think Buffalo does bounce back and win the game. I don't know if they win it easily. They looked out of sync to me from the get-go for the most part. I watched most of the game. You know, obviously I had a bunch of games up on the ticket, but I was paying close attention to that one as we talked about last week in our preview, and they really kind of looked out of sync. It looked to me like Josh Allen was trying to do a lot of the things he was trying to do in his first year, where he was trying to do too much and really wasn't just taking what the defense would give him and live to play another down. And I think that they need to get back to that and not think that they're going to win the game in one play. As often as it looked like they were trying to do last week. They made a lot of, it seemed to me like mental errors that they weren't making last year. And I think it was because they were trying to like explode into the season instead of just kind of take what the defense gives you and let the game come to them. So I think they get back this week. Like you said, but I'm not sure about a blowout. I'm going to go with Buffalo on the road, 24-20. I think the Dolphins do keep it interesting. But again, Buffalo, you know, if they're hitting on all cylinders or close to it, they should be too much for a young Dolphins team that's still trying to learn how to string some wins together.
I'm going Buffalo 31-13.
31-13. That's a blowout. Okay. I got you. All right. I think it's going to be a little closer, but either way, I think Buffalo's going to win the game. And if they don't, like I said, Miami's in the driver's seat, and that's going to be kind of interesting to see how Buffalo responds. You know,
having that edge helps a team mentally too. I feel like it help them play harder, keep them a little bit more focused on track, especially for a young team. Give them that extra motivation to be like, all right, you know what, we're in a prime position right now. And let's just keep going out and doing our job. I can't imagine Miami's strength of schedule. I haven't looked, but I can't imagine their strength of schedule is very difficult being, they weren't a first place team. You know, most of the first place teams have the toughest schedules. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think it's going to be a conversation we'll be having next week, but we could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and we're going to pause on the games for a second. And let's go ahead and jump into our fantasy football freak of the week. So I got AB. I think that him and Brady, they showed last week that their connection is just getting stronger and stronger. We know that that's the original reason that Antonio Brown ended up in New England to begin with, is because Tom Brady wanted him there. It didn't work out, but he wanted him there. And then he ended up in Tampa Bay because Tom Brady wanted him there. Bruce Arians said, nope, we don't need him. We don't want him. Guess who showed up and scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl? So I think that connection has just gotten stronger and stronger the longer they've been together. I don't know if Antonio Brown is still staying in Tom Brady's house or not. I think that was a thing at one point. But I think he has a big game this week. They are playing an inferior opponent, so they should be able to put up a lot of points. I got AB with 30 points in a PPR league, 7 catches, 120 yards, and 2 TDs.
Yeah, I was a big AB fan going to my fantasy football draft, honestly. He kind of got swooped right out from underneath me. But nonetheless, he had a big week last week. I think he's the receiver to own in Tampa Bay as far as fantasy goes. Definitely performed lights out like shades of his old self. So I'm going with Chase Claypool to have a big game against the Raiders. He's going to torch that defense.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got help with receivers opposite of him, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, to pull away the opposing defenders, So he's going to see a lot of man coverage, a lot of one-on-one coverage. And the Raiders, sans the fumbles from Lamar Jackson last week, probably wouldn't have won that game. They did play a good game. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but they did have trouble stopping Marquise Brown from catching the ball, making some big plays. Sammy Watkins had some big plays, and no disrespect to those guys, but they're not Juju, they're not Deontay Johnson, and they're not Chase Claypool. So I believe Claypool, out of the three receivers, they're all going to have good games, but I believe Claypool, the Steelers, is going to put up the touchdowns. He's going to have a multiple touchdown game. He's going to go for over 100 yards receiving. So I'll give him not a lot of targets. We're going to go 7 catches on about 9 targets and 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I like it. I think one of the Steelers receivers is going to go off. I would lean towards Claypool, but I think one of them's going off for sure. And I agree with you when we talk about that Monday night game. The Raiders are I mean, they won the game. They played a great game, and it's hard to win an NFL game. Obviously, we all know that. Yeah. But I think that they're very fortunate that Lamar had those fumbles. Otherwise, they'd be looking at 0-2 coming up this week instead of possibly going 2-0, which is going to be tough for them. They had an injury as well to one of their keepers. I'd have to pull it up, but I believe I was reading. Josh Jacobs, he's out.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is out this week as well. So that's gonna probably have an impact on the game because I believe he scored one of their touchdowns last week. So. I think Pittsburgh ends up winning that game, and I agree with you. I think out of the 3, Claypool's probably the most likely to have a big game, but I'm leaning that one of them's going to have a big game for sure. I would agree with that. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. Go ahead and jump to our next game. And this one here is going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
The Cowboys at the Chargers. I'll go ahead and start us off on this one. And really, for me, I think that as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. It's kind of the same old story for the Cowboys, right? They got a great QB, got talent up and down the depth chart. For some reason, they can't put it together, can't seem to match the talent with the victories. It's same old Cowboys, same old McCarthy. Same old song and dance is what it seemed like last week. They find a way to not get the job done. But I think that is not the case this week. In a rare home game in LA, I think that the Cowboys pull it out in a high-scoring affair, 33-30. I think despite some injuries on that line, I think they had a suspension. They had some injuries on the D-line. I think that Dak and the receivers go on the road, and this game turns into a shootout. And in a shootout, as much as I don't like the Cowboys, I will take them over almost any team in the league because of those receivers that they have. They got some horses all across the field, and when they got them all on the field, it's hard to cover them all. So I got the Cowboys in an upset, 33-30 on the road. I think this one's going to be a fun one to watch. They're going to be scoring back and forth the entire game.
Lots of points. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. If you like points, this is going to be a game to watch because there's going to be a lot of points. I'm going to go with 37-30, touchdown difference. Probably a late score in the game is going to be the difference. And, I don't know how many other teams have said this over the years, but the Cowboys are Tom Brady fourth quarter last minute comeback away from winning last week. So they played a really good game offensively, defensively. What's that?
They got goated.
Yeah, they got goated. I mean, what can you do about it? He's the best. So They played well. They played really well. Their offense was lights out. Amari Cooper had 13 receptions on 16 targets. CeeDee Lamb wasn't far away. So, these guys, they're going to put up a lot of points week to week. They're going to throw the ball a lot. Zeke is going to have a much better game this week. The Chargers do have a good defense, but, so does Tampa Bay. And look at what Dallas was able to do against them. I believe, again, this is going to be a high scoring, a very, very fun game to watch. Going to see a lot of points put up, but Dallas does win the game ultimately 37-30 over the Chargers. Herbert's also going to have a good game. I think, though, at the end of the game, there's going to be a mistake made, probably an interception or a fumble or something by Herbert or someone on the Chargers, and that's what's going to cost them the game.
Yeah, that's typically what it comes down to, right? Is somebody making a mistake. So whoever makes the least amount of mistakes, or who can come up with the big play and force the mistake, right? Again, I think that in a rarity, the ball bounces the Cowboys' way this week, and they're the ones that end up with the win. I have it a little closer than you, but yeah, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and it's going to be a fun one to watch if you like offense. And you mentioned Amari Cooper. I was just pulling it up here. Amari Cooper, and he had a hell of a game. He had 139 yards receiving. And then if you go down the list just a little bit, you look at the guys who had like the top 10 games, right? CeeDee Lamb was right there with 104 yards as well. So,
yeah.
And I think he got into the end zone also. They both got into the end zone. Amari got in twice. So yeah, I mean, the offense is clicking, like you said. They look good against a tough Tampa Bay defense. They won. The defense is what won the Super Bowl for the Bucs last year. Let's just call it what it is, right? And they look good against them. So I think Dallas going against still a stout defense, but not as good as Tampa Bay. I think Dallas and Dak, because Dak looked really good. He looked you couldn't tell that he had a shoulder injury or was coming off of a broken ankle at all. So I think if he's still feeling good, which he probably is, he probably was sore the next day, and hopefully he's rested up now. But I think that I think he's ready to go, and they're clicking already. So it's gonna be some fireworks in that game.
Yeah. I remember last time we got together and did an episode. I talked about Dak and it kind of being a good measuring stick, and I think he measured up, and he has no rust. He didn't show any signs of rust to me, even without the preseason games. So, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I mentioned this, if I'm a Cowboys fan and I'm anyone in the organization, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And let's not forget Michael Gallup is out as well. So CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper could be in line for even bigger games this week.
Yeah, I agree. All right, cool. I can't believe we just did that. We both picked the Cowboys. Probably gonna throw up after we're done, but hey.
Hey, we don't have to root for them to win.
No, we don't.
We just gotta give the facts.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win it though.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win it.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump on to our next game here, and that's gonna be the Chiefs and the Ravens. So obviously we talked about it already, the night that Lamar had. We know that the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So I'm going to open this one up to you first, and then we'll break it down and go back and forth on this one. But I'll open up to you first.
Yeah, the one thing that sticks out to me here for the Ravens is injuries. They just can't seem to avoid them. Kind of reminds me of the 49ers situation last year, the end of the preseason, or really through the whole offseason, preseason, and, throughout the season. They can't avoid them on offense or defense. They've lost some stars. And now they're going against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're looking at an 0-2 hole. And the Chiefs, I do believe, are going to win this game. Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. They do have some decent talent, but I don't think they have enough to overcome the Chiefs this week. And I think the Chiefs win in big fashion. I don't see Lamar Jackson fumbling 3 times. So, that should help them out on offense, the Ravens. But I think that Kansas City wins this one 31-21.
Gotcha.
It's going to be hard to stop them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be hard to stop them. So I'll go ahead and start off by saying that my Super Bowl prediction from a couple episodes ago is already out the window. I'm jumping ship. Baltimore is not even making it to the conference championship, just based off the injuries they've had to start the season. So I'll give you another Super Bowl prediction at a different point. But back to this game here. I agree with you. I think that the Chiefs are going to bury the Ravens in this game, so to speak. I think that this game is going to. What's that?
I was just saying, yep, bury him.
Yeah, I think this game is going to mark the beginning of a bunch of big changes. Not necessarily this season, but I think this game is going to set the precedent for the front office in Baltimore and the coaching staff to understand they need to overhaul their roster, or they need to change their offensive game plan and make big changes soon. Otherwise, they are going to waste Lamar Jackson's entire prime while Patrick Mahomes is going to Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I think one of the biggest things you mentioned it, Lamar is a great quarterback. He is a talent that obviously we've never seen in the league before, and he can do a lot of things that other guys only dream of doing. I think at this point, though, based off of what he's been asked to do in previous seasons already, and now the fact that he's basically a man on an island out there with really nobody that you can trust in the backfield. The most known running back that they have is a guy that can't even get on the field. He was on the sideline spitting sunflower seeds. So the question for me is long haul. Obviously, I'll give my prediction on this game, but long haul, can Lamar stay healthy for 17 games? And if he can't, what does that do and how does that affect his contract negotiations that he's in the middle of right now? So I think there's a lot going on, obviously, with Baltimore and their injuries and contracts and stuff like that. I think for this game, I think they get blown out 34-16. I don't think Lamar has a lot of turnovers, but I don't think they can move the ball effectively because they're going to be one-dimensional. They're going to have to lean on because I think Kansas City jumps out ahead real quick, and that makes it to where Lamar has to throw the ball a lot, which we know is not his strong suit, and that plays right into Kansas City's hands, and I think they handle him pretty easily. And then again, the bigger question is, does Baltimore realize that the way they're currently constructed, they have no chance to beat Kansas City, and what are they going to do about it? And the other question is, can Lamar Jackson stay healthy for 17 games playing like a one-man band? It's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, definitely. I mean, when it comes to the reconstruction, I definitely get what you mean. They've been trying for the last few years to find a receiver, a star receiver to help in situations, say like this, where they know they're going to be limited at the talent they have at the running back position. Sure, they have depth and they got a committee, but they don't have any real standout running backs. And they go out, they get Sammy Watkins in the offseason, but let's just be real. He's a journeyman NFL wide receiver. He bounces around from team to team.
Sammy Watkins is a fantasy killer week one every year.
Every year,
week one, kills it, and then disappears
after that. They drafted Hollywood a couple years ago, hoping he would be a franchise type receiver. And he's had some decent games, but he's had some injury issues. He did have a good game last week. If he could stay healthy, maybe he provides a boost to their receiving core. They draft Bateman this year. He's injured. So they've definitely had some hard luck when it comes to finding that stud wide receiver to help take the pressure off of Lamar Jackson in the run game, because we know they want to run the ball. But what they're able to do when they don't run the ball, that's what's been holding them back.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Well, so I think we both see this one the same way. I think Kansas City establishes themselves as the big brother in that relationship, and Baltimore has to go back to the drawing board,
Yeah.
unfortunately for them. All right, cool. So we'll pause our game breakdowns one more time before we jump into our last game, which is the one that we both want to talk about the most, I imagine. But let's go ahead and we will jump into our bold predictions for the week. Just for the record, so let me stop that for a second. For the record, if you watched the last one, hopefully you did, you'll know that both of us pretty much were spot on with our bold predictions. I predicted Philly would beat Atlanta by double digits, and they smacked the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And then you were pretty much spot on with Jameis. I think obviously he didn't throw for as many yards as you said he would, but hell, when you throw for 5 touchdowns on 20 passes, you don't really need to throw for 400 yards. So
and no interceptions. That's the big takeaway.
Absolutely, yeah. There were a few plays that in the game where you could see the coaching taking effect, where Jameis would hold on to the ball and pump fake, and then you would think, all right, here he goes. He's about to do it. And instead he would throw the ball away, throw it out of bounds. And the announcers were even mentioning it during the game, that they noticed it. So I think I agree with you 100% that coaching is already taking effect, something you talked about earlier. And it's going to be interesting and exciting to see if Jameis can continue to grow under Sean Payton and limit those mistakes and play more with his mind than just his arm strength and things like that, which is what he was playing with before. That would be a scary thing. Like I said, I told you when he was coming out of college, when the conversation was him and Mariota, I've always been a Jameis fan as much as I do not like FSU. I've always been a Jameis fan, and I thought he was going to have a stellar career. And I think that the fact that he's got with Sean Payton in a time where they both kind of need each other. Like Sean Payton needs that guy to replace Drew Brees to keep him, at the top of the mountain. And Jameis Winston needs that person that can save his career and show him how to really play NFL quarterback. So I think this is a match made in heaven, and it's going to be fruitful. I think that's for sure. So definitely you were spot on with that bold prediction, and in your season bold prediction, I think that could definitely be accurate as well.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Jameis have a really good season. And even aside from the coaching, he sat a whole year behind Brees, and he was in the QB room with Brees. So to be able to pick Drew Brees' brain and see how he goes through it, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
So and not take anything away from Drew Brees, but he doesn't have Jameis Winston's arm. So that was evident in the game, with those deep balls. So we're gonna see what he can do throughout the course of the year. Hopefully he doesn't revert, but 5 TDs, 0 interceptions, very efficient game. I liked seeing it. It was really nice.
Absolutely. And like I was saying before we started, Drew Brees even acknowledged that on the NBC broadcast. He after they showed the long touchdown pass, he was joking. I think it was Mike Tirico or whoever was there with him. He was like, well, I guess that's what the Saints have been missing for the last few years. So he's at least he's honest about it, and he understands that although he was really great at what he was able to do, some guys can chuck it down the field and some guys can't. He just wasn't one of those dudes. But he's thrown for more yards than anybody other than Brady. So I mean, he's obviously good at what he did or what he was doing. So pretty good at what he does now too. You can't tell this is his first year doing it.
I know. I like actually listening to him broadcast. It was really cool.
He knows what he's talking about too. That's what helps,
Yeah, it's always nice to get someone on TV who knows what they're talking about.
Yep, definitely. That's why we're only on YouTube.
Right.
All right, cool. So, all right, let's jump into this week's bold predictions. I'll go first on this one.
All right.
So my bold prediction is that the NFC West, I don't know how bold this is for this side, but The NFC West will remain undefeated. They will be 8-0 at the end of Sunday. And the Houston Texans, the team that I said would go 0-17, I'm not saying they're going to win this week, but the Houston Texans will still be the only team in the AFC South with a win this week or after this week. So that's my bold prediction.
Yeah, it's just definitely bold. I don't know. Yeah, the AFC South, man, they're just such a weak division as I'm thinking about it. But I do have Indiana upset this week. So either way it goes, my bold prediction, I'm going to go with Zeke bouncing back with a big week. So we all know, Zeke Elliott didn't have a great game. So I say this is a bold prediction because it does seem that Dallas has, shifted to an offense where they're going to throw the ball 35, 40, maybe even 50 times in a game. And that's going to take a lot of carries away from Zeke. Tony Pollard also got a lot more involved this week. But I do believe Zeke Elliott bounces back with a big week, 150 scrimmage yards, 2 touchdowns, and he balls out against the Chargers this week.
I definitely think it's possible. Like I said, like we were saying earlier, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and obviously, I don't think all the offense is going to come from the wide receivers. I think the majority of it's going to come from the wide receivers, but there's going to be plenty of opportunity for Zeke to eat. That's for sure.
I think so.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and jump to the last game that we're going to break down, and this is the one that we both are looking forward to. We know some folks that are Eagles fans, so that makes it even more fun. But let's go ahead and talk about our beloved San Francisco 49ers. They will be visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, who, as I mentioned just a moment ago, whooped the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta is bad, and they are in trouble. They might be playing for the number 1 pick by the time the season's over. But to this game here, I'll go ahead and let you start us off, and then I'll give my take. But I'm looking forward to this one. I really am, considering that we finished the game a little closer than we wanted to. So this is not going to be the walk in the park that I imagined when the schedule came out.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that was one of the things I was going to bring up. I'm definitely excited for the game, but this kind of game is the kind of game that gives me a lot of anxiety going into it because, a team like Detroit, we're supposed to, blow out, and we were until we weren't. And the defense throughout the game, the defense gave up quite a few big plays on the ground, giving up chunk rushing yards. I do like Miles Sanders over in Philly. He's really good. They have a really good quality offensive line over in Philly too. So this type of game does give me a little bit of anxiety. I do believe that we will get the win in a really good game, a really good close game. Jalen Hurts played really well. The defense over in Philly is pretty good too. So, we're going to go into this game. I'm going in thinking we're going to win. It's going to be a really close game. I'm not going to anticipate any blowout because I believe that a lot of our fans out there would think that this is the kind of, I guess you would say, trap game where everyone go, oh, we should get the win. Philly's not that good. But truth is Philly showed out last week, and we could all say, well, they're just playing Atlanta. But it was a blowout. It wasn't like it was a close game. Jalen Hurts played really well. Their offensive line played really well. And our defensive line didn't play that well. So I'm going to go with 24-20 in this game. 49ers over the Eagles. Not a ton of points. It's going to be a really gritty battle, but I do believe that the 49ers come out with the win.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to agree. I think the 49ers are going to win. But I think you hit the nail on the head. This is the type of game that makes you a little nervous, right? It's the type of game to where you want to feel really confident, right? Again, because our team should be able to win this game. But if you think about it, both of these teams were playing bad teams last week, right?
Yeah.
Detroit's not a very good team. Atlanta's not a very good team. They're both playing bad defenses. And if you think about the way the games went, and if you watched and things, and I know we were bouncing back and forth, we were on the Zoom talking. Philly started out really kind of slow, and they got better. Their trajectory went up as the game went along, and they closed out a bad team. They separated from Atlanta and slammed the door and made it clear Atlanta was not going to win.
Yep.
We did the opposite. The 49ers did the opposite. We had a little slow start, and then obviously when we got to, the second quarter, we really kind of blew it open. And then, like you mentioned, that fourth quarter, we just kind of fell apart, and we didn't close out a bad team, which is a mark of a championship team. That's what championship team, the Chiefs, once they got ahead of Cleveland, they shut it down, right? You think about those type of games and those type of teams, it makes you nervous when we go into a game like this. Again, I think that we are going to have enough to pull it out. I think that Philly is better than people think. I think they have a good shot to win the East. Obviously, with Fitzpatrick going down, that gives them an even better shot. You never want to see a guy get hurt, but that plays into the NFL. That's just part of the game, right? And when a guy goes down, it elevates the possibilities that other teams have, right? They have a chance to finish higher now because your best guy's out. So I think Philly, I think they proved that last week's blowout was not a fluke. I got the Niners in a close one, 27-23. I think it comes down to our defense making a play or two here or there. I'll give Jimmy G a lot of credit. He looked really good last week. Again, against a bad defense, but he looked really good. If you go and look at the stats, he leads. I know it's after 1 week, but he had the highest yards per attempt last week and the highest yards per average per completion last week. So, granted, he had a couple of big plays that helped out, but there were a few other quarterbacks that did too. So, I think the 49ers pull it out, even though we're missing Verrett for the rest of the season. We still pull it out in a close one, 27-23, and we just continue to build that momentum and get the ball rolling. And hopefully, by midseason, the 49ers look like the team that we hope they are.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say this, I won't give the defense the full brunt of the blame because if you remember right, the last 4 minutes, Detroit got 14 points off of one was off of a fumble muffed onside kick by George Kittle, so that's points off a turnover, and then the Debo fumble as well. So it's points off of a turnover. You can't really blame the defense for literally they're on the field back to back. It's difficult for a defense. So I know they have a job to do, but it's a lot more difficult to do that job when you're put in bad position. So I will throw that out there as well. As long as we can make sure that we're not committing silly mistakes at the end of the game, then our defense should be in a pretty good position. We want to eliminate those big chunk runs against Philly, and if we can do that, it should be a good game overall for the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with you as well. I think if Kittle, and most of the time he's sure-handed on those types of plays. I think if he's able to grab that onside kick, it doesn't even get that close. Obviously, we run the clock out, or at least run it down pretty darn close to all the way out, and we wrap it up with a double-digit win. So I will agree with that, and I'm sure they're probably working on that. They probably worked on that at some point this week, making sure everybody is good to go there. But again, like we mentioned, Jalen Hurts looked really good it was against a bad defense, but it's still an NFL defense, and he looked really good. So hopefully we can contain him, give him some different looks, confuse him with some of our defensive schemes and things like that, and come out with the win. It's always another reason it always makes me nervous is anytime that a West Coast team goes to the East Coast and they play that early game, it always makes you a little nervous because their timing is off. Their body clock is not right. So
yeah.
That's another thing that always makes you a little nervous in a game like this.
It does. 49ers have a few key starters out on defense too. Jason Barrett out for the season. Diamador Lenore is going to get the start. He's a rookie. And then Dre Greenlaw, also growing surgery. He's going to be out some time. So it's going to be interesting to see how the defense responds. But I like Lenore and I like Aziz Al-Shire. You say that? I don't know, but something like that. It's Aziz. I know that's his first name. He's pretty good as well. So I'm anxious to see how those guys perform in this game, especially against a quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
Definitely. Yep. We'll be watching. So
yeah,
let's go Niners. I think we both said it's going to be a close one, but we're going to come out ahead.
Really close.
And all that matters is we get the dub. That's all that matters to me. So.
Yeah, if we could win by 1 point, hey, I might be full of anxiety throughout the game, but
I'll take it. I'll
take that W.
That's for sure. All right, cool. So that's all of our games, all of our breakdown, all of our predictions, other than the full slate. So let's go ahead and pull that up really quick. Last week, let's go ahead and talk about last week's picks. This is where we were. This is who we picked. And this is where we ended up. I ended up at slightly above 500, 9-7. You ended up slightly below 500 at 7-9. And of course, Vegas on the money line, not the spread, but the money line, ended up even at 8-8. Go figure. So here is this week's picks. I lost last night. I had the Giants. I thought I won. I thought I won my parlay, my single game parlay, and then there was an offside penalty, and the rest is history. The football team won the game. So you and the money line are up currently this week 1-0 on me. I'm down 0-1. We both have the Bengals to continue their surprising start and go 2-0 over the Andy Dalton-led Chicago Bears. The Bears are embarrassing until they put Justin Fields on the field. I'm going with the Bengals in that one as well. All of us, Vegas, and everyone's got you, me, and Vegas have Cleveland. You wanted to go back that Cincy game? You wanted?
What's that?
Did you have something to say about the Cincy game?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, man, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm thinking, God, man, we gotta put Justin Fields in the game. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if Andy Dalton's playing halfway decent, then keep him. But he's not. He's not playing well at all. In fact, I don't think he performed well. He missed receivers more than a handful of times. He couldn't get outside the pocket or escape the rush very well. So I feel like you've got to put Fields in the game, let him learn, get a few bumps and bruises in there. The days of, I know what they did with Patrick Mahomes was really unique in the sense they had Alex Smith, but Andy Dalton is not Alex Smith. Alex Smith, even though he was a game manager, he was efficient. He was a very efficient quarterback. He did exactly what he was asked to do, and I still think Dalton struggles to do that. I just feel like you go put Fields in. They have a decent offensive line. They have good receivers. They have a good run game. Put the guy in the game. Put the guy in the game. They got a good defense. Put the guy in the game. If I'm a Bears fan, put the guy in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to see the field. Put Fields on the field
at
Fields Soldier Field. Yeah, I agree. All right.
Until then, Cincinnati wins.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So this one we differed. I got the Rams winning as much as I don't want to see them win, and I don't think that they are going to finish the season the way they started, because they started out hot Sunday night. They looked phenomenal against the Bears. Those same Bears, they look great. So I don't know how much of that was the Bears just being inept at playing football with Andy Dalton at quarterback, and their defense be on the field too much, or how much that was the Rams are really, really good. So I think this will be this is going to be a similar test for the Rams, I think, because I don't think that Indy is at full strength yet, especially with Carson Wentz and what's his name, Quentin Nelson. I'm sorry, Quentin Nelson. They both are just still getting back from that injury. The reports I heard is he's still feeling pain in his foot, which can be affecting him. You got, especially if it's your plant foot and you're going to throw the ball, if you're feeling pain every time, that may make you think about how far am I going to throw this ball? How much am I going to dig into the ground and launch it? So I got the Rams winning. You got Indy in the upset. So we'll see how that goes. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. That's why I'm at 7-9 right now. I'm always going to have a few games like this where maybe someone gives me a little odd stare, like, what is this guy thinking? But by picking them. But I think it might be my miracle, honestly, that Indy wins this game. But in a game at home, I think that on the heels of a big Jonathan Taylor game in the run game, that Indianapolis does win. It'll be probably 24-21, not a ton of points. Pretty close game. Indy does just enough to win. The Rams probably gonna have a good game too, but I don't know. I got to pick an underdog every week, an underdog or two, and this was the one I decided to pick.
Sometimes you got a feeling. That's all. Sometimes you just got a feeling.
Yeah, it's got a feeling.
Yep. So we both got Buffalo. So does Vegas on the money line. We all got New England, Niners, Steelers, all chalk. We differed with this one. You got Carolina at home. I have New Orleans on the road. I think I don't know if Jameis goes 5 TDs and 0 interceptions again, but I think he has another solid game. I think they carry that momentum. I like Carolina. I like Christian McCaffrey. I think that Sam Darnold is going to have a better year than people think. I don't think he's going to be an MVP or anything, obviously, but I think he's going to have a better year than people think. And I think Carolina keeps that game close. But I do think that New Orleans ends up pulling it out just with Sean Payton, coaching experience and what they did last week. They got to be feeling really good going into Carolina, thinking they're going to come out with a win. So I got the Saints on that one.
Yeah, this is another case of liking to pick an underdog, and I feel a little bit more safe with this one. The main reason why I picked Carolina is because of all the COVID outbreak there. It's already been announced that 7 assistant coaches will be out and 2 defensive starters and a couple of other defense players will be out of the game. So we know they're not playing. So I know Sean Payton, he'll adjust the best he can. I think it's just going to be a little bit much to overcome. It'll be a really, really close game. They still have Alvin Kamara playing. I mean, him alone on the field is going to give them a chance. But I think Carolina does eventually win because Christian McCaffrey, they have McCaffrey and some other really good weapons over there as well.
The real question in this game is how many fantasy points are going to be scored between those two guys?
I know. I'm willing to say 65.
My goodness, this is a fantasy football player's dream.
Right.
I definitely will be probably looking for one or both of them in my daily fantasy on Sunday. That's for sure. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's finish this out here. All right. So we all got Denver. We all got the Cards. Tampa Bay. I think that one's pretty easy, a no-brainer. We talked about Dallas already. So yeah, we talked about these, and then the Monday night game. I'll be honest.
I knew it.
My heart wanted me to pick the Lions. My heart wanted me to pick the Lions. My brain wouldn't let me, so that's why I went with the Green Bay Packers. I would be happy if they ended in a tie and the NFC North was still winless at the end of the night. That would be great. That would just make me so happy. But I doubt that's going to happen, and I think that I think Green Bay pulls it out at home. First game back with fans in Lambeau. It's going to be tough for Detroit to go in there and win that one.
I got another bold prediction for you here.
Go for it.
Devontae Adams is going to go for 200 yards and 2 TDs against Detroit this week.
200 yards and 2 TDs.
Annihilate them.
Okay.
Huh?
I got you. 200 yards and 2 TDs for
He's going to
Devontae.
annihilate them. And Randall Cobb's going to have 3 yards.
Randall Cobb.
That's another bold prediction.
So my question is, why did they bring Randall Cobb back? Is he like supposed to go get Aaron Rodgers water or something?
I don't know. They even traded for the guy. Like, what are you doing? What did you get him for, to fetch water?
Is he like Bill Walton to Larry Bird? They just went and got him so he can go get his towels and shit like that, or what? Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Yeah, but there's another bold prediction right there. Devontae Adams, 200 yards, 2 TDs.
All right.
He's gonna annihilate them. Book it.
All right, I'll make sure that we circle back around next week and see how that went.
Right.
I might look for him in my daily fantasy. Who knows? So, let's see.
Costs too much.
What's that?
He costs too much.
Nah, you got to play the free ones, man.
No, I'm saying him as a player.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, true. Definitely. And
Go get Claypool. He's gonna have a big game. Cost you a lot less on DFS.
All right, so that's really that's all we got. That's the whole schedule. That's our opinion. We could be wrong, of course. We do want to say thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. We do appreciate it. And as always, just a friendly reminder, please be kind, even to Cowboys fans.
Even to Cowboys fans.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I Could Be Wrong. We'll talk to you after the games.